I think Scoot next year might have more instant impact than Wemby does.
Last night, when the Blazers drafted Scoot Henderson, it's the perfect excuse to move on from the Damian Lillard.
He's got kind of a junior Russell Westbrook written all over him.
What if I told you just a short time ago, Scoot Henderson was seen as the future of the NBA? Not just a lottery pick, not just a high upside project, but the next great guard. A mix of Derrick Rose power, John Morant's explosiveness, and Westbrook's intensity. People were calling him a future all-star before he even played a single game with the G League Ignite. He was that hyped. Now, he's coming off the bench. Last season, he shot under 40%. He turned the ball over like crazy. And instead of becoming the next franchise leader, he watched his teammates take over while fans start to question if he'll ever figure it out. Scoot was supposed to carry the torch in Portland after Dame time ended. 2 years later, he's returned. And the torch is exactly where it was when he left. So what happened to Scoot Henderson? What's going on with him? Let's go back to when he first signed with the G League Ignite. NBA scouts were drooling. They saw a 6'2" point guard with a 6'9" wingspan, a grown man frame, a downhill game that reminded people of Westbrook, a fearless attitude like Ja, and a drive that scouts describe as obsessive. He was projected to be a top 3 pick from the minute he signed his G League contract. Some evaluators even said he would have gone number 1 in almost any other draft class that didn't have Victor Wembanyama. He wasn't just a blue chip prospect. He was being treated like a future face of the league. At just 17, Scoot was already on NBA radars, already on ESPN mock drafts, already working with NBA trainers, already getting his signature shoe design. And Portland, they had their eye on him because while the rest of the league was still talking about Dame time, the Blazers were quietly preparing for the next chapter. They knew Damian Lillard's time in Rip City was coming to a close. They knew the rebuild was on the horizon, and they needed someone to carry the torch. Someone fearless, someone electric, someone who could make Portland matter again. And that someone was supposed to be Scoot Henderson. When Scoot heard his name called 3rd overall in the 2023 NBA draft, he wasn't surprised. This was the moment he worked for his whole life. The Blazers had just traded Dame, the face of their franchise for over a decade, and they weren't looking for a project. They needed a cornerstone, someone to lead the rebuild. And Scoot was ready to be that guy. Or so we thought. From day one, Portland handed him the keys. In Summer League, he was the headline attraction outside of Wemby. And on media days, all eyes were on him. He showed up in shape, confident, and motivated. His mentality was never in question. Scoot worked like he already belonged. But then the game started. In his first official NBA outing, Scoot looked off. He shot poorly. He looked rushed. The pace of the game seemed to overwhelm him. Instead of slicing through defenses like he did in the G League, he ran into walls. Instead of finding open teammates, he forced passes that led to turnovers. His first step didn't look nearly explosive against NBA-level defenders. In his first 5 games, he averaged just 8 points and 4 assists on 34% shooting with nearly 4 turnovers a night. That was a red flag. And then came the ankle injury, a sprain that sidelined him for nearly 3 weeks. That might have been the worst possible timing. For a rookie still learning the NBA game, every minute counted. And for Scoot, it disrupted any rhythm he was trying to build. By the time he returned, the Blazers were no longer committed to him as a starter. They moved him to the bench. Malcolm Brogdon took over primary ball handling duties, and suddenly the franchise centerpiece was coming off the bench in a rebuild. That's not how this was supposed to go. His rookie year stats, at a glance, they weren't horrific. He averaged 14 points and 5 assists, but you had to watch the games to understand the full picture. He was shooting 38% from the field, among the worst for any guard in the league. From 3, just 32%. He had the lowest effective field goal percentage of any player who took at least 10 shots per game. And it wasn't just the numbers, it was the feel. He looked out of control on dives. His decision-making was inconsistent. Sometimes he flashed brilliance with a perfectly timed lob or a nice crossover. Then he followed it up with a rushed pull-up 3 that barely glazed the rim. His shot mechanics weren't consistent. His arc was flat. His feet weren't set. It looked like he was shooting on the way down half the time. And defenses noticed. They sagged off him and dared him to shoot. That killed the spacing. Even worse, his defense, once a strong point, started slipping. Whether it was fatigue or frustration, Scoot often looked a step late on rotations, and he struggled to stay in front of quicker guards. For a player that came into the league known for his toughness and edge, it was wild to see him look this lost. If year one was supposed to be about learning and adjusting, then year two was supposed to be about progress. But so far, the only thing that's really changed is the patience level from fans and analysts. Scoot's sophomore season started with a sense of urgency. The Blazers, while not expected to contend, made it clear that this was a development year, but it was also a year for answers. Who was part of the long-term core? And was Scoot still that guy? Unfortunately, instead of making that second-year leap, Scoot has hit a wall. Through the first half of the season, he averaged just under 13 points per game. His assists have dropped slightly, his turnovers remain high, his field goal percentage is still hovering below 40%. And once again, he's coming off the bench. But it's not just about stats. It's about how he looks. He doesn't look confident. There's hesitation in his game. On drives, instead of attacking with force, he'll often pause midair, unsure whether to pass or shoot, resulting in awkward floaters or blocked layups. On catch and shoot threes, he hesitates, giving defenders time to recover. That aggressiveness we saw with the Ignite, that downhill, fearless attitude, it's missing. It is clearly missing. His struggles at the rim have become especially concerning. For a player who built his reputation as a physical, aggressive finisher, Scoot ranks near the bottom of the league in rim finishing percentage for guards. He's shooting under 50% at the basket. He's also not drawing fouls at a high rate, meaning them tough finishes aren't turning into free throws. And without a reliable jumper to fall back on, it's made him incredibly easy to guard. And defenses just do what they do to anybody that can't shoot the ball. They go under screens, they sag off, they crowd the paint, and dare you to beat them from the outside. And right now, he can't do that. There are also signs that mentally, the weight of expectations is starting to show. During games, he gets visibly frustrated after turnovers. His body language dips. His on-court communication with teammates looks strained at times. And for a player who was supposed to be the leader of the rebuild, that is also concerning. Even in blowout losses, he's often the third or fourth most impactful player on the floor. So what's the root of the problem? Some of it is physical. Scoot was seen as an elite athlete, but in NBA terms, he's closer to average. Yes, he's strong, but his vertical pop doesn't wow anyone. His first step is good, not great, and he's small, listed at 6'2", but playing even smaller due to his limited wingspan and his below-the-rim finishing. But a lot of it is mental and mechanical. His shot needs work, both from three and the mid-range. His passing vision is solid, but his processing speed, the ability to make reads quickly under pressure, isn't there yet. To me, he still plays like a guy who's used to dominating based on talent, not nuance. That's the adjustment many young players fail to make. In high school, and even the G League, you can get by on physical tools. In the NBA, every player is big, every player is strong, every player is fast. What separates guards is their ability to slow the game down, to control the tempo, manipulate defenses, and make reads 3 steps ahead. Scoot is not doing that yet, and that's why 2 years in, the question isn't whether he's behind schedule, it's whether he's even on the right track. But let's talk about a bigger issue that doesn't get discussed enough: the G League Ignite experiment. Because when you look at Scoot Henderson's struggles, it's not hard to ask, did that system actually hurt his development? The idea behind the Ignite sounded great. A pro-style program for elite young players who wanted an alternative to college, better competition, NBA-level facilities, and of course, a paycheck. But here's the thing. The G League isn't built like college basketball. It doesn't have the structure, the discipline, or the accountability that most 18-year-olds need. It's a league filled with veterans fighting for contracts, not mentoring teenagers. There's no school, no real media pressure, no turning mistakes, and most importantly, no emphasis on team success. That's where the Ignite model failed. Scoot spent 2 full seasons with the Ignite. And sure, he had flashy moments, big dunks, wild crossovers, a few 30-point games. He even held his own in that hype exhibition against Wemby. But those were highlights, not habits. What he didn't get was structure. He wasn't running real NBA offenses. He wasn't held accountable for bad decisions. He wasn't learning how to lead a team, make second reads, or work through adversity with media pressure on his back. Those are all things college point guards face daily. Scoot didn't, and it shows. His decision-making didn't sharpen. His jump shot didn't improve. His understanding of when to push the tempo versus when to slow things down is still a work in progress. Even his pick and roll reads, a must-have for today's NBA guards, remains inconsistent. Now look around the league. How many Ignite alumni are thriving? Jalen Green just got traded for being wildly inconsistent. Jonathan Kuminga, athletic but inconsistent. Dyson Daniels, defensive upside but can't shoot. This isn't a Scoot problem. It's a system problem. Ignite was supposed to fast-track stars into the league. Instead, it fast-tracked them into bad habits, and the NBA took notice. After just 4 years, the league is shutting down the Ignite program. They're pulling the plug, admitting that maybe, just maybe, skipping college wasn't the best path for development after all. And Scoot, he might be the most high-profile cautionary tale from the whole experiment. Now let's zoom in on the Portland Trailblazers, because this team has quietly become one of the most confusing rebuilding teams in the league. A couple of years ago, the direction was clear. Dame was gone. The future belonged to Scoot, Shaedon Sharpe, and Anthony Simons. A young backcourt, athletic wings, and a clean slate. Right now, it's a mess. Anthony Simons had been the team's best guard, a smooth scorer, improved playmaker, and reliable shooter. But they just traded him to the Celtics for a 35-year-old Drew Holiday. Shaedon Sharpe has had monster stretches, including a 29.7 rebound, 5 assists per game run early in the season. And as I mentioned earlier, Damian Lillard has returned on a 3-year, $42 million contract. So where does Scoot fit in all this? And that's the problem. He's no longer the clear-cut future leader. He's not the most talented scorer, not the best passer, not the best shooter, not the best defender. He's just kind of there. And that is dangerous. That ain't good. Because once a franchise starts seeing you as a secondary piece, not the guy, the clock starts ticking. You get fewer plays drawn up, less patience for mistakes, less spotlight in interviews, less faith from the coaching staff, and eventually trade rumors. But let's be blunt though, unless Scoot flips the narrative fast, he's trending towards being the odd man out. He was supposed to be the face of the rebuild. Right now, he's closer to being an awkward fit in the NBA in general. Now here's the million-dollar question. Is Scoot Henderson a bust? Well, that's a loaded word. Bust implies like the story is already over. But let's be fair. He's only 20. Most players don't hit their peak until 24 to 25. We've seen guards take 3 or 4 years to blossom. De'Aaron Fox, shall we? He was shaky for 2 seasons before figuring it out. Then Tyrese Maxey, who barely played his rookie year, but exploded by year 3. Then there's Jamal Murray, who also had a shaky start, but now he's a playoff killer, or a Laker killer. So no, it's not too late, but we have to be honest about where things stand. Scoot came in with sky-high expectations. People were calling him a generational guard, the next big thing, the best point guard prospect since Derrick Rose. And right now, he's not even close to that. Now that doesn't mean he can't become a good player, but the timeline has shifted. He needs to redefine his jumper, his form, release, and footwork needs serious retooling. His shot selection has to improve. He's never going to be a great three-point shooter, but he needs to master the mid-range, the floaters, the runners, the pull-ups. His finishing has to evolve. Smarter angles, more offhand usage, better body control. And most of all, he needs to develop the mind of a point guard, which is odd because his coach is an NBA champion, a finals MVP, and a 5-time All-Star playing the same point guard position. But he can't play the position for him. So that means Scoot should be watching film, studying pace, learning how to manipulate defenses, learning how to control tempo, becoming a floor general, not just a scorer that can handle the ball. It'll take time. And it won't be flashy. But that's what it'll take if Scoot wants to shed the bust label. That is unfair to him at this time, because if he doesn't, he'll become another name in a long list of prospects who were crowned too early and left behind too fast. Right now, Scoot Henderson stands at a crossroads. He's not just fighting for a starting spot, he's fighting for identity, for redemption, for his basketball future. He came into the league with swagger, confidence, and dreams of stardom. But now he's learning that potential means nothing without production, that talent doesn't guarantee greatness, that the NBA is a business, and it doesn't wait for anyone. But there's still time. Scoot has the tools, he's got the strength, the work ethic, and the desire. He just needs to put the pieces together. It won't be easy, but the path forward is full of film sessions, jump shot tweaks, hard coaching, and ugly nights. But if he embraces it, if he truly commits, he can still become a difference maker. I'm rooting for him. Not to be the next Westbrook, not to be the next Derrick Rose, but the best version of Scoot Henderson. And if that happens, This video might not be a eulogy, it might be a turning point. So what do you think? Is Scoot Henderson still a future star in the making, or has the hype already faded for good? Personally, I think he still got his shot. I've always been a fan of him, and I want to see him succeed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.